Hello everybody, I'm glad you could join me today. Today I will switch the format, not the video format, the drawing format, from a horizontal to a vertical piece of paper. Additionally, I will of course use my beloved drawing tools, a variety of pencils from HB to 7B. Maybe I'll actually use the 7B pencil today. I didn't use it a lot. It seems like the 3B seems to just suffice. But I'm going to just see if it comes up or not. The next thing is the old smudging tool. The really a couple of years old smudging tool. Maybe I should get a new one someday. I was told you should change them every once in a while. I think it works just fine, but whatever. Maybe I'll experience with that. Experiment with that someday. That was the word I was looking for, yeah. And the next thing, the old eraser. Just plain and simple. Okay. So I will go ahead and just draw my old frame and see in the video again that you can barely see anything, so I'll press down a little harder just so you can actually see what I'm doing. It feels strange to make the indication lines so strong already. Feels like they're way too strong, but I have to try things and make it so you can see what I'm doing. That's more important than me thinking, oh, this feels right, because I want to show you the stuff I do here. Okay, I drew a horizon line, and now, as always, I start with the sky. Just horizontal lines from the top of the page, going down towards the horizon, making it brighter and brighter towards the horizon. As we all know, right above the horizon is the part where the sky is very misty and foggy. So it's really bright down there. And when you go outside, maybe go hiking, this doesn't matter for me drawing, but if you paint, you will realize that above the horizon, if you look very far into the distance, that the sky is actually white instead of blue, and it fades into a bright blue and then into a darker blue as you look more up into the sky. Just little details that are worth noticing and observing when you go out in nature and when you like to be creative. Just these details and observation are going to be what enhances your creations. Okay, gotta make sure I don't make the entire sky dark. Leave the lower part really bright. I'm almost fully pressing down on this HB pencil now, so I'm really upping the contrast for you so it's visible in the camera. So maybe we will get to use the 7B pencil today. I should actually try and incorporate it. Could be a good means of increasing the contrast in my drawing for you guys. Okay. Enough lines in the sky. Now I take the smudging tool, maybe take the less used side here, and go into the sky. Start from the top, going left to right, back and forth, approaching the horizon, trying to eliminate the lines that I drew in the sky, making it just a gradient. If possible, without any lines in it. However, it doesn't matter if you have a couple of brighter areas. It's just going to look like an area of greater humidity in the sky, just a very, very, very light cloud, as sometimes they seem to not even have outlines. They just seem to blend in with the sky, and they're just a brighter area in the sky with no particular shape. Mostly just horizontal lines. Okay. The next thing I want is a cloud. And I'm going to place it up here, going into the middle. So I start in the middle, working my way to the side, going in here with circles, erasing what's going to be the shape of the cloud. Just going over here. This part. All right. Just this cloud. Maybe let's have another one. Yeah, let's have one across this middle section. Just a smaller one. Erasing those middle parts right here. Okay. I'll try to knock off the residue from the eraser. Just gently wiping it down. Knocking it down doesn't seem to have too much of an effect. It seems to stick to the paper. But there we go. Got rid of that. And I'll again take the HB pencil and draw some shadows for the clouds. Now let's say the sun is outside of view, coming from the top right down here. So the shadow areas of the clouds are going to be at the bottom and the left. So I'll just draw in those flat U shapes at the bottom of the cloud. Just sort of tracing those bumps that I created with the circular eraser movements. Just like so. Leaving some brighter spaces in between those lines to make it look like the shadow area of the cloud is actually an area and not just a line. Gives it some nice three-dimensional effect. So that's the bottom of the cloud, and then we'll take the left side, just some C shapes in here, at the left sides of the bumps that we just erased out of the sky. Just here and there, wherever you think the volume of the cloud retreats. All the left sides of those bumps. Maybe a little more here to make it look like the cloud goes more into the distance away from the observer. Alright, on to the next one. Start wherever. Left side, right side, or just in the middle as I did, doesn't matter. We do draw from the background to the foreground. That's a general rule of thumb. But for this single element that is this cloud, it doesn't matter if I start left or right or center. Following the same principles, leaving some brighter spaces in between. Not too many here though, since this cloud is very thin. Okay, and then little C's, C shapes all over the left parts of those bulges in the cloud. And it really looks like this part's going away from the observer. So there is a larger shadow area in this cloud, and it gives it more three-dimensionality, makes it look like it makes this sort of S shape coming towards the observer and away from the observer. So incorporate these large shadow areas. Don't make the shadows just the same all the way throughout the cloud. Those darker areas really give it three-dimensionality. And it's really that easy. You can almost decide wherever you want them. Okay, and that's the clouds done already. The next thing I want to do is have the first tree right here in the background. For that, actually, I'll first draw the ground that it stands on. Let me get a better horizon line right here that is somewhat horizontal, more horizontal than that first line that I drew. That was really crooked. Okay. Now we do the usual, just some random lines to give that ground a value, to separate it from the sky. Just back and forth, maybe like so. And I'll just create those random darker parts. They're almost not going to matter afterwards, since I'm going to cover all this. But by making those random decisions, you can lay out what you're going to draw later. So for me it helps. This way I don't even have to strain my creativity, because I don't have to think about what's going to be here. If I have an idea, I can just do whatever the idea demands, so that it comes into life. And if I don't have an idea, I have already some lines laid out here, so I can orient myself towards them and use them as layout for the ground. It's a little trick that I use for this drawing stream. If I have an idea for later, if something comes to my mind, I'll just use that. But this saves me the sort of embarrassment from having a blank mind just when I was looking for the word before in the beginning of this stream. I just have something that I can follow, and if I hadn't told you right now, you wouldn't even have noticed, I'm guessing. So that's a neat little trick. Just have random stuff in your pictures to help your creativity. Okay, now though, let's get this tree going. I've switched to the 3B pencil, and I think I'm just going to draw in the position of the trunk right here. Maybe there are going to be several trees back there, some closer together, some further apart. Just like so. Maybe going over here, right there. All right, and for those trees in the distance now, I'm not going to draw the volumes for each and every one of them. I'm just going to put those volumes of the trees all together in one. Then just give it a basic value to separate it from the sky. I'm not even sure if the brightest parts of those trees would be brighter than the sky in the background. Maybe that's the case. I'd have to go into that and experiment with it, or just maybe take a look outside of my window once I'm done streaming. I'll look into that in the course of this day. Probably just trying it out on the paper, trying to see what looks more natural, and for the sake of composition, I will try to gauge what separates the trees more from the sky, because I want them to be recognized and not just muddy into the sky. Okay. I'm just going to draw in some basic shadow parts now. So this lower part of the trees is going to be dark. Have it go up here, maybe. Maybe up here a little bit as well. Because the left part of the trees, just like those C shapes in the clouds, is darker than the top and the right part. Right here as well. Little shadowy parts bumping up further into the trees. Okay, let's get it really dark down here. Cross-hatching the other direction. Now I want the resemblance of some leaves to be seen here. I'm not going to draw every leaf, of course. Just, let's see, how am I going to do this? Just some squiggles. just approximating some more in here, otherwise it looks flat. Very approximate. Now we're already coming to the part where things take more time. Where we give the trees a structure that's always a time-consuming task. The larger the surface you want to cover with a structure, and the finer, the more nitty-gritty the structure you draw, the longer you're going to take. And sometimes, in the middle of that process, you're going to stop and take a step back and have a look at it, and you're going to think, that doesn't look right. It looks stupid. It's not going to look good in the end. But from my experience, you should always go to the end of that process and have a look at what it looks like when the entire structure is covered with the surface pattern that you wanted to have. Because it's a completely different look. It looks way more complete when everything is covered in the pattern. And maybe even in the end it doesn't look completely what you've envisioned it to look like. But it'll always look more like what you had in your mind than if you just stop right in the middle. So I think that's a valuable life lesson, to follow through with things. And even if in the end you're unsatisfied with the result, you have learned something in the process, which is that if you were to do it again, whatever it is you're doing, you wouldn't do it the way that you just did. So the next time you pick the parts that you liked in the outcome and you change the parts that you didn't like. And that little process is called adaptation. And we organisms on this lovely planet have come very far with that process. So I think it's a very valuable process to have in mind and to be able to access in your actions, in what you're doing. Okay, just some basic tree trunks, nothing special here. Without a shadow side and without a bright side, just some dark trunks right in here. Some more in the very distance where you can't even see the foliage of the trees. Right behind there, over there, over there. A little thicker. Okay. Now let's have some more trees in the distance that poke out. Let's have a big one over there. Big old tree. One over there. And going out to the left side of the picture. And I'll just have to do the same thing again. the thing that I did with the other trees. Just give them a value with the HB pencil. Now, to make them look three-dimensional, I make those lower parts a little darker than the top parts. Just to set them apart a little bit. The front trees. From the hind trees. Over here as well. And on the left, it's going to be darker than on the right. Okay, 3B pencil. Just some random foliage structure. Up there, and over here, and right here, and right there. There we go. All right. With this line of trees done, I'll go into the next one. I'll have a tree. Oh wait, no. Let's work a little bit more on the ground. Let's give those trees something to stand on. You can't see the leaves that are on the ground. It's way too far in the distance. But you can see some waves, some unevennesses in the ground. Just something for those trees to stand on. And some random lines again. Just some squiggly bits. Just like there's a lot going on in this forest ground. Just like so. Okay, I'll just extend that a little bit down. Okay. Now, I want the next tree to stand right over here. And this one's going to be way closer. So it's going to tower up into the sky, covering a part of this cloud. And as always, we want things to overlap. Just like right here. This tree is going to overlap with this cloud, and it's going to enhance the idea and the impression of there being a distance between the cloud and the tree. Okay, let's see where this is going to end. I think right there is going to be the bottom part of that foliage. Same procedure as with all trees right now. Well, maybe I'll get rid of those trees here. This part of the tree in the foreground is going to be dark, so it would most likely cover up those trees, but just for the sake of technicality, I'm going to erase those, because if this side was the light part of the tree, if the light came from the top left, then if I was finished drawing this tree, this large tree, you would see the other trees through the leaves. And not just through the holes in the leaves, but through the leaves themselves. It would look like this tree in the foreground or midground is transparent, which maybe you want. And if you want that, that's okay. You can draw it like that. But we're going to have this tree be opaque. It's not made out of glass. It's just a normal tree. Regular old tree. Made of water and carbon. And whatever other elements it is made of. Other elements, I'm saying, like water's an element when it's a molecule, a substance. But anyway, this isn't a science stream. It's a drawing stream. So we don't have to be too accurate with those terms. We let somebody else do that. All right. Now I'll take the 3B pencil again and block in the shadow part of this tree. The lower part right here and the left part going up to round about here. Okay, let's make this really dark, really dark. Maybe I can already use the 7B pencil for this one. I was going to save it for the very foreground, but maybe it's already time for it. Let's see how far I can get with the 3B pencil to save the 7B for later, but maybe I'll already have to use the 7B pencil here. But I think I'm getting rather far with this. I think it's nicely, this tree is nicely separated from the sky and from those other trees with this dark value, so I won't have to use the 7B pencil just yet. But I'm really pressing down hard already. I'm really on the darker side of the values that this pencil can produce, so lo and behold, we are going to see the 7B pencil used today. Alright. Now I want some subdivisions of this mighty tree, because the further we get with our objects towards the observer, the more detail we're going to see. So here we are actually seeing parts where the single branches extend out. So every bulge that I'm drawing here is a segment where a branch has its leaves out from the trunk. Some more here. One over here. One right in the middle. and maybe one more over here. Alright, I go back with the HB pencil for this part up here that is lighter. I'll use this one. Okay, and now more C and M shapes, just semicircles chained together. To give this tree a structure. Right here and there. Okay, I think that's it for the use of the HB pencil here. And I'll go into the 3B pencil for the darker areas. Okay, now can you see that? I think you can. Yeah, looks good in the camera. I think I'll have to make this part even darker though. Just like I made this part here that is a lower part of the tree, one that is facing towards the ground, very dark. It has to have about the same value. All the parts that are facing towards the ground need to be very, very, very dark. More like this, yes, okay. Some more leaves here and there. And let's give this more of a general volume. The overall volume is also darker at the bottom left. Okay. Just as for this one as well. And this one down here as well. Darker at the bottom left. Okay. Just checking out the stream there. I don't want to miss anybody who might want to chat. Since having someone talk to me would make this easier for me as well. Not that you have to talk to me, not that you have to chat, but just I'm rambling on, and sometimes I don't know what to say. I don't know what else to describe about the technique that I'm doing in that very moment. So if somebody asked me a question, I would have something to talk about without having to think what to talk about. So I don't want to miss out on that opportunity. Okay, not much to be seen down there. It's very dark down there. But up here and right there and right there. Just some leaves poking out. Some individual leaves here and there. If you have seen another of my streams, you know that I like those individuals. Okay, that's it for this tree. I'll have another one right in front of it. Going to take the HB pencil again, and this one's even further in front of us. Maybe stopping right here, stopping the same height. You know what? Let's give this tree a trunk first. The light part is going to be on the right part, so this line indicates the shadow part of the trunk. And if this drawing stops right there, the light part is not even going to be seen. So I'll just make all this very dark. Dark, dark, dark. Maybe go a little bit lighter over here. The part that I'm going to erase later anyway, when I clean up the edges. And it's very dark, but I'm trying to give this a structure. Just up and down. Very tall zigzag lines. Okay. Now I can go into the next tree. It's going to start a little bit more up here. Maybe right there. It's not even going to be seen here. I don't want to cover up those details though. But yeah, let's... You know what? Let's not have a tree right there. I like it the way it is. But we need one more tree right over here. On the left side, I think. Right now I don't want to cover up anything, though. I'm struggling right now since I prepared something different. I thought I was going to draw a couple of trees at the sides and we're looking towards those trees in the background, but I'm liking this so much right now. I think I'll leave out that other tree as well, which leaves us with the ground to work on. So I'll take the 3B pencil. Those waves in the ground that we have from earlier, I can use those as indicators for the shape of the ground right here. That's going to be it. Okay, I'll just make the rest dark. A little darker, a little darker. Just give it a general value. With a 3B pencil, okay. And the top part of those hills is going to be brighter than the bottom part. So I am going to extend those lines right up to the next line, and that gives it a nice three-dimensional look of grooves in the ground. Just like so. Like that right there and right here. And right here as well. Going a bit lighter as we approach this background over here. Okay. Now let's have some detail in this ground. Let's have some grass. For that, I'm now going to change to the 7B pencil. That doesn't have a really pointy tip, but I'll make the best of it. By now, you know the drill. Those lines, vertical, just going up, slightly bent. Down here as well, coming from outside of the frame. And up here. The grass is going to be seen on every single one of those ridges. Back here as well. Up here. Down there. Down here. You can see it grow everywhere. We're coming to the ASMR part of the video. Maybe it's more dark and bushy here. Growing more thick, more densely over here. Another row over here. Coming up here. Down here as well. Over there. And approaching the parts that are further away, the blades of grass appear smaller. So to create the illusion of distance, we make them shorter. Just like that. Going up here. Now I'm changing into just zigzags. Maybe over here you can't even see the single blades. You just see rows of grass. Up here, just like so. Right over there. Right here. Just endless rows of grass, growing into the distance. Seemingly getting smaller and smaller. Right here and right there. Over here. Over here. Up there. You should extend those just a little bit. Just like so. Okay, over there. Some long blades of grass still poking out. Some more in the foreground right here. Okay, back there. Back here. Now getting very small. up and down. All right. Let's extend this one. And for the last bit in the background, I'll change back to the 3B pencil. To make it blend in with the ground more. Because it's all one big mush back there. You can't really see a lot of detail. Okay. All right. And that's it for the drawing today. Let's clean up the edges. All right. I really made a mess today. But that's okay. I can get rid of all that. All that's at the edge. All right. Right here. And right here. Right here. And down there. The darkest parts. I can't even really erase the darkest parts. But that's what it is. Knock down the residue. Now let's sign this one. Whoop. Right at the edge here. Thank you for joining me again. I hope you were entertained. I hope this was maybe a nice background sound for you for concentrating and studying or doing whatever. I hope you will join me again next time, tomorrow at 12 p.m. Central European Time. Well, that's a messy tree right there. But anyway. I hope you are having a great day. Thanks and bye-bye.